When I was younger, I thought that once you turn 20, you'd enter the real world, whatever that means. Maybe the real world means different things for different people. I find myself stuck in the past, the present, and future together all at once. Being an adult is confusing. It's hard, and I still feel like a kid. But I'm sure I'll feel this exact way again in just another decade. I guess we all waste time differently. Everyone has their own ideology of what wasted time is. But isn't all time wasted? Because we only have so much of it. So why aren't we allowed to waste it better? That's because not all of us have the luxury, privilege, or opportunity of doing so. And in the end, we all, including myself, will choose a path that works and falls into a specific set of standards that we need to fill in order to survive. We are forced to fill in the expectations that society, family, partners, circumstances, or we ourselves have of us. Being successful means different things to different people. For me, it is most definitely not having a picture-perfect life. I don't strive to be perfect, but I do want to be good enough. In retrospect, that's always how I've viewed myself and how I've approached things. And not in a derogatory way, but I am just a measly human, and I accept that. And most of us are not born to achieve greatness. You could say that I'm okay with accepting that I'm not the very best. To me, success is being good enough at doing what I can, and living a life that's just meaningful. A life that's not grandiose. I don't see being average as something bad, but just as I said, I doubt I will ever live up to that belief. Everyone has their Achilles heel. I often think that this way of thinking is ungrateful, as I possess the luxury of choice. Today, I feel time like it's a solid piece of matter that I can grasp onto and pull apart to see every millisecond slipping away into thin air. Sometimes, I want to grab it and rip it apart, like you rip open birthday presents to see what's inside. However, there's an everlasting fear that I'll rip it open and all I get is socks. Not that socks are a bad thing. For some people, socks may be exactly what they're looking for. We might have a different definition of what socks represents to each of us. At the same time, I don't understand what to expect, and some days I fear that I don't expect much from life at all. It confuses me and makes me envious of how other people have all their lines traced out, while I still can't find the map. It's almost like math. I envy people who are naturally apt at it, but to me it looks like all the same shades of gray. Maybe I can't understand the equation of my life. Why does everyone know what they're chasing after? And why do I not want to chase after anything at all? I'm not sure if everyone feels this way. Maybe the rebel in myself subconsciously wants to refuse filling in any standard. But I know I cannot escape it. It also bothers me that 30 is a cursed number. 30 is by when we should have our lives sorted out, when the reality is, we never really achieve that point. Things could change at any second, and we will forever have to sort our lives out. It's like a wardrobe that you keep organizing, but no matter how much you clean it, it always ends up a mess. Growing, learning, and forgetting will continue as long as we keep changing our attire. I feel an overwhelming amount of melancholy. I know for a fact that the coming year from this point onwards in my life, things will change drastically. And knowing myself, I'm afraid of change, even if it is positive, because there's a fear that my normal won't be normal to me anymore. And that shift or adjustment takes time. Things are picking up their pace, but I'm never ready to run a marathon. It's hard to admit that I do have a fear of growing up and accepting those responsibilities. Honestly, I'm afraid that all my perspectives that I've built until now will change and that my young spirit that believes it doesn't matter what I do will wither away and die. And I am deathly afraid of killing my own spirit. We'll be forced to make a living, and then we won't live. Everyone says life's too short, but I really think it's just because we don't like to slow down and stop to absorb. When was the last time you really lived the age you were? Or was it just spent thinking about the next? Maybe we should romanticize the little things more. I cannot see a life where I am not romanticizing it. It adds meaning where there supposedly shouldn't be, but that's because most things are meaningless. And why should I live in a maniacal mess? Being 11 is still fresh in my memory, or maybe that's because I've so desperately held on to her. I used to tell myself, Myra, don't forget this moment, freeze it like Cam Jansen. And strangely enough, those moments are my most prominent memories. Most days, it's hard to explain, but I do find myself disconnecting from life. And I don't find that to be a negative thing. Rather, I almost appreciate my mind unintentionally trying to remind me that we're all just distracted by one thing or another. It's definitely a strange feeling to turn around and acknowledge life like it's your shadow following you around, when sometimes I also want to look away and keep myself distracted too. And knowing the way life is structured to occur, I will end up joining the race. However, I'd like to believe that this year has taught me that innately, I'm someone who refuses to look away from my shadow, because it is I who makes her dance. I don't know what you'll take away from this video, and I'm not sure if any of my very naive pondering is relevant to you either, but these are just some of the random thoughts that I managed to sieve out of my head and knit together. So, if you watched this far, thank you for listening, and, well, I'm 23 now.
Myra.